Well, actually, I'm moderating, and if I can't answer them, or if I shouldn't answer them, I will use one of the members of our audience. We have a number of our, raise your hand if you're on the Chamber Housing Committee. Okay, good. Raise your hand if you're on the Resort Tax Board. Okay, raise your hand if you're on the advisory board for the Big Sky Housing Trust. Okay, good. Let's see what else we cover. We've tried to get a lot of people in the community who graciously agreed to come and be subject matter experts. Glennis is willing to answer questions. She's on the board. Who else is on the board of Visit Big Sky? Good. Who's on the board of Big Sky Chamber of Commerce? Good. Who else serves on an elected board in our community? Nice job. That's one of the keys to our communities. We have very dedicated volunteers that do all this. So, back to your question, it'll depend. Do you have another question, or did you just want to ask that?
Not yet.
Okay. Sir?
My understanding is that the corporation, Big Sky, has been lobbying the Yellowstone Club to get them to pay resort tax on their fees up there, okay, which they haven't done. And because everything up there is fee related, I'd like to ask a question. I don't know who can answer this question, but how far has that progressed?
Okay, so I think the distillation of the question, we are recording this for posterity. You can watch it on the website. So I will try to repeat the questions if I don't forget. The question, if I distill it down, was you were asking about the Yellowstone Club paying into resort tax and what's covered.
Correct.
Okay, so I know who just to ask for that, because Hans just did a great job of getting some clarity of that on the resort tax for me.
Thanks. So Yellowstone Club does pay resort tax on all of the items that every other business does. Restaurants, skis, all those good things. Apparel we sell. We have not paid tax on dues. We've been audited a number of times. That subject never came up. However, that said, we approached the Resort Tax Board, I guess 2 meetings ago, and volunteered to pay taxes on the fair market value of our skiing and on our golf, which we actually do pay taxes on some of those things now. We charge guest fees for golf, which we pay taxes on, so it would be member rates. Same with skiing. Be member or non-tax guest skiing.
Thank you.
I've got a question since yours.
And so to give you a number, I think we're still finalizing. Okay, estimates. So we paid around 711,000, or we collected, I should say. Our members and guests actually paid the tax in 2016. And I have those other numbers if you'd like to know those. I think we also collected around 700,000 in lodging tax.
Follow up.
Well, Ms. Jones, you're the manager of the club.
Yes.
Has there been any consideration with seasonal employees, part-time employees, people that work for the club, people that work for Moonlight, Spanish Peaks, put housing, affordable housing on your property?
So the question is Moonlight or the Yellowstone Club considering putting affordable housing on their property?
I understand that you're not willing to do that. I may be wrong, but why would that be?
I don't know that we've really evaluated it. We do have some housing on property. A few units we can house about, anywhere from 12 to 21 folks on property.
Well, that really is not, I'm wondering, is there a plan for the club, or you can't speak for the others?
Yeah, I can only speak for Yellowstone Club.
To
I would say
expand on that?
not at this time. Our preferred area of housing would be in the Big Sky community.
Alex, do you want to add anything on that from the Lone Mountain side?
Absolutely, I'm Alex Escondero with Lone Mountain Land Company. We are actively looking at affordable housing projects in Moonlight Basin, in town center, and other places that I have a variety of places. I can't go to Huntington, I can't go to Bill, but we are actively looking at numerous different places within Big Sky, greater Big Sky, including within the community
just repeating for the, that was Alex Escudero with Little Mountain Land Company saying, yes, they are looking at workforce housing options at Moonlight and at the Big Sky Town Center. Okay, next.
And other places as well.
And others. Yes. Who has the next question? I saw some hands up over here. Oh gosh, you guys are gonna let them off easy. We got all these people here for tough questions. I can ask a question. Tell.
I have a follow-up to Hans's question. So I heard you say that you pay lodging tax on the homes that you rent through the club to other members and sales prospects and guests. Is that just lodging tax or is that also resort tax?
The question is on housing.
Correct.
At the club, are they paying lodging taxes and resort taxes?
Yes.
Okay, and for those of you who don't know, let's see if I get this right. In our state, our lodging taxes are 7%, 3% to state, 3 and 4. What is it? It's 3 plus 4.
Just call it 7.
Okay, it's 7.
One meeting at a time.
Yeah. Well, I was new to all this, so I'm trying to learn all this stuff. So 7% is lodging tax. And some of that money goes to the state, and some of it comes back to our community through our Convention and Visitor Bureau, and which helps fund things like the Destination Next survey and community-wide marketing in summer and winter. So that is another piece that can come back to us. So, but the lodging is paying then the 7% for lodging tax plus the 3% for resort tax. Steve.
And to be clear, it is collect, it is not pay.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm usually good at that, as Brian knows. The term is collect. The fees and taxes are paid by the customer. The businesses collect them. Thank you very much.
In your early remarks on other resort communities, you referred to one in particular in Truckee, California, in which you mentioned that the funding was provided by a privately funded 501c3. Have we pursued that avenue at all as opposed to raising taxes?
So absolutely. So the question is, have we looked at a 501c3 as an opportunity to fund this? So that is exactly what Brian Geyer was talking about. So the Big Sky Housing Trust is on the path to become that local 501c3. Right now, correct me if I get this wrong, but right now it's underneath the umbrella of HRDC. It's called the fiscal sponsorship. Right? So and that just helps it get going. But then we'll have the filings with the IRS to get the C3. And that is exactly the intent of that, so that we have a nonprofit that can help with these affordable projects, that can take donations so that the donor gets the tax deduction. And so that encourages more donations and then encourages the nonprofit aspect, yes. Anybody in the resort tax can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that venue, that entity is very important then for future funding from resort tax or other, that funding was intended to go to that kind of nonprofit entity. Anybody want to correct it in that? Okay. All right, who's next? Yes, Liz.
We have another mic.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you to our AP team upstairs.
For Brian Geyer, where's Bow property located and what's the approximate time frame when someone could actually occupy that?
Where is the Bow parcel located and when will it be available? It's off of Spruce Cone and it's in the meadow. The approximate, it's hard to nail down exactly when it'll be available because we are kind of subject to the county timeline in terms of preliminary and final plat. I can say that we hope to be done with infrastructure by this summer and going vertical in June or July. Again, those are, I don't want you to fixate on those because those are very subject to change, but that's kind of where we're at right now.
All right. You guys are an easy crowd. We're all warmed up to lots of tough questions. Heather.
I understand that the town center is exempt from water and sewer hookup fees. How does the Big Sky Water and Sewer District going to make up or in the sustainable license, how is that being
she's asking good, hard questions. All right, so get ready, folks, who's gonna answer this. So if I repeat it correctly, does town center pay sewer and water fees? And the second part was,
How do we make up for that as a community and not get burdened with the expansion of the district?
okay, that's a really big question. So get ready, who was over on sewer and resort, sewer tax board, I'll give you guys on deck. How about we want to, Brian, let's start there, and then we got town center folks that can try to help answer too.
In your other hat, your other role, your volunteer role.
So I am on the Water and Sewer District Board, and there are a number of different levels of fee structure. The town center has a Supreme Court decision regarding their fee structure and the ability to pay an extremely low rate, and now things just did get structured for water. But for sewer, there are a number of different tiers for sewer. As an example, $3,500 per SFE, that roughly 2-bedroom, 2-bath, or benchmarked per 1,000 square foot. $3,500 is the base, and it's a good example to explain as well that Big Sky Resort or the Boyne Properties as of 1996, at the settlement for about $13 million, assessed in that another $3,500, so one SFE is $7,000. Regarding the application to community housing, the Big Sky Water and Sewer District just has a finite cap. We have a certain level of commitment and a certain level of capacity. And there seems to be this idea that we can just, a guy can walk in and say, I'm doing employee housing, can you give me another 100? We struggle with confirming that commitment versus capacity all the time. We have a number of applications that, again, are noble applications. But the fact is, it's a cap, it's within the district, it includes town center, it includes the resort, it includes the Meadow Village. So it's not as if we can just pull these out of our hat when they come up. But it will be something we want to work with, expanding and incentivizing people to develop maybe at a higher level based on the cause and the restrictions that go with the cause. Does that answer?
Right. $7,000 is a hookup fee.
It's an impact fee.
An impact fee, right, because then there's ongoing usage.
Correct.
Right, just to clarify.
So how much capacity is there now for additional SFPs?
You know, right now we're about 50% of our way through. Please don't hold me to these numbers. I hate that we're being taped. Let's say the capacity, you know, we use these numbers loosely, but the capacity is somewhere around 10,000. We're right around 5. I'm going to say it's 9 to 6, somewhere around. We have a number of agreements that need to be satisfied within that, some loose ends. But right now we have the ability to satisfy our commitments, but it's every month we address that table. And we're about 50% there. We're about 50% in the district for build out across the board. But this is a great topic. Who asked that question? That was a great question.
She's not done.
I'm done. And I'm glad someone asked it.
Do you know, does the Supreme Court decision mandate that the transfer of property carry that benefit? Or when that property is sold, could you remove that benefit and then whoever buys it doesn't necessarily have to get that benefit?
You know, Ryan, I think this is up to Bill. I'm sorry, Bill.
Legal opinions, yeah, you don't want to give a legal opinion.
Thank you.
As Bill said, we know that it runs with the land, so it goes in all transferees.
Okay, so the answer there was it runs with the land.
The exemption from the sewer impact fee is not just the original buyer, but it goes to anybody they sell to. They call it running with the land.
But as a seller, could you remove that? Or does that have to flow with the land?
It's up to each individual owner if they want to remove it, but I just want to clarify one thing, that it's only an exemption from the sewer impact fees, it's not on water, so.
So as we've talked about, water is intricately related to housing. Transportation is also intricately related to housing. Anybody want to have any transportation questions? Oh, okay, so just a side note on transportation, that's one big hot topic in the legislature right now, is for the infrastructure ability of the state, and that one proposal is to add a 10% or a 10-cent gas tax add-on to help fund infrastructure in our state, so ponder that. Yes, ma'am?
So if I'm clear on my understanding, that we're looking for, or the Bow Foundation is looking for professionals that are in the community for this rental and this occupancy of ownership. How do, like if you were to buy that and then sell it, how do you maintain that critical factor that that's what they want moving forward? I mean, if I'm the owner now, can I sell to anybody I want to?
No, because it would be deed restricted, so it'd be restricted on the deed and restricts transfer. So it would keep going, just like the caps on appreciation. Brian, would you like to add to that?
Actually, thank you for asking that question, because I mentioned something and then I forgot to circle back to it. A big part of what the Big Sky Community Housing Trust will do will be provide stewardship for these houses. And any kind of resort community with affordable housing, there has to be an organization who is tasked with ensuring that those deed restrictions or ground leases are complied with, making sure that these homes are not being turned into VRBO homes, that they are the person's primary residence, that they're complying with all of the various restrictions that are placed on the home, because ultimately what those homes are a public benefit, and they need to be preserved as such. So building affordable homes is kind of a two-part process. You build the affordable home, but then the more difficult part is maintaining the affordability beyond that first owner. You know, because you don't want to have an owner who, the very first owner comes in and then just gets a windfall of equity on the way out, thus making it unaffordable for the following families. So those deed restrictions are put in place to ensure permanent affordability of those homes in perpetuity.
Does the deed restriction have a life in Montana?
No, I don't think so.
Like
The question was, does a deed restriction have an end life in Montana? I don't think so, but anybody else out here with like a real estate lawyer who would know for sure?
This is
No, there's the real estate lawyer. It's definitive, no. No.
Because that's been the biggest problem in Jackson Hole, it's a problem, and everywhere that does it has a 30-year, a lot of them have 30-year lives. And at the end of 30 years, all the straws get thrown out in the air.
All right, so here's one example of where our Montana laws are helping us. I'll leave it there. Yes, sir.
You, I think, mentioned earlier that Big Sky doesn't have as many tools as other resort communities. Can I presuppose that if we were incorporated, our toolbox would get bigger?
Yes, incorporation does give you more tools. Just as a preview, this has been brought up as a topic for our next community forum, because incorporation is such a big topic. And it's not just incorporation, but it's taxing. So one of the things we've been looking at is what taxes do we pay now? Where do they go? How does that affect Big Sky? Who knows how many different districts, taxing districts we have in our area? Steve, how many?
Look on your tax tape.
5, 6, there's a lot. Yeah, and they're all different. So like the school district is different than the sewer district is different than the resort tax district, you know. So the short answer is yes, incorporation gives you more tools, but the long answer, it's the preview to the long answer, is there's a lot of details about how do you do that and how best to do that and how could you do that without adding too much overhead, you know, to get those tools. So who would be interested in our next community forum speaking, what the topic was taxes generally? There's so much interest. I know, taxes, really, this sounds exciting, but we'll figure out a way to make it exciting. But it's a good question, it's something to think about, that's a longer term solution too, and that would require, my understanding is, legislative approval too, because of our 2 counties, depending how we all know about that. So, Steve?
The big tax debate is the county taxes us so much and gives us nothing back. You get into the details, 80% of your county tax bill is spent on taxing districts that deliver services to the Big Sky community. So
say that again, 80%
80% of your tax bill gets spent in Big Sky.
When you got the taxing allocations from them. Yeah.
Anybody wants to see the numbers, I've got fresh numbers from Gallatin County.
Is Madison County the same? I can't believe that.
I haven't looked at the Madison County numbers lately. I was asked about Gallatin County numbers and I came up with those. And I did a quick analysis of the spreadsheet. Again, 80% of them are spent on taxing districts like the school district, the fire district, the water and sewer district. It's spent right here. All kinds of RIDs to take care of.
Most of the Madison stays on the other side of the range.
It's a different world over there. And I don't live there, so frankly.
No, that's one of the big problems.
It's very important, and it makes it much more challenging for all of our issues, all of them, to have the two counties and the way we're structured. So but Steve did bring up a good point too, that we have a big chunk of our taxes goes to the counties, whether it's Madison or Gallatin. And so, you are represented by the county commissioners, so it's important to engage and communicate and talk about what's important for our community and help them understand that.
Brett, the point I'm making is they're collected by the county, but they are spent here. This idea that they go to the county and never come back is fiction.
Well, I would say I wouldn't go that far. I'm not a black and white person. I think things are always more complicated, and at least on the roads, I would say there's an opportunity for us to get more funding back. Would you agree with that? Or you won't argue with it?
You have the spreadsheet.
No, it's a good point. Who's looked at their tax bill? See where it goes. Right. Yeah, so do look, Steve's point's right. There's a many of things that do come back to our community. There's some things that go out, and so clearly we need another forum on tax details.
There's a lot of money that leaves here, this community, that's in Madison County, that goes over the range, and not a lot comes back.
Do you want to add anything from the school perspective, Dr. Gibson? You can say no.
No, I mean, I think that's a good point, especially in schools, collection standpoint, and very little of it comes back.
Yeah, so just the repeat on the school is a particularly strong example of that, where a lot of the taxes collected in Madison for the school does not come back to our Big Sky school district. Yes, sir?
I apologize, I'm going to be the only person here that doesn't know the answer to this, but the $1 million that has been allocated by the resort tax board, I'm not sure if that's the right terminology. Where is that going and to what age?
Sure.
And what is it for?
Yeah,
Three-part question.
it's a great question. Brian knows the answer.
So the question was, where are the funds that were awarded to the Big Sky Community Housing Trust going? And the short answer is those are going to construction costs. And so at this moment, those dollars have not actually left the resort tax board. They still reside at the resort tax board until we get to final plat and go vertical with the
So construction costs on the, I can't remember, 32 units or?
Correct, 32.
When those are sold, is that, those monies going to be returned to the resort tax board?
No, those are not going to be returned. Those are not going to be returned. That's how we are getting to these deeper levels of affordability, is with this award from the resort tax board.
So it's a subsidy?
It's a subsidy.
It's a subsidy, but then it's to reduce the cost? Right, we've been wrong. It's a subsidy to reduce the cost to make it more affordable, and then the chunk that's coming from mortgages for purchase is going to the rest of the cost.